Hello all, this is NaveenPrabhu. Today we are going to look at the game between Shankland Sam and Sergey Karjakin. This game featured in the round 12 of the 2022 Tata Steel Masters League. I hope you guys are following up the previous rounds. We have covered various games in that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. The game starts with the 4 and he replaces back with the move NF3. They goes for another Nimzo-Indian Defence here, that is C4, E6 and knight to C3. He goes for a bishop to b4, and actually we have covered two games before this round, that is Vidit and Pragnananda goes for a queen to c2 here, and in yesterday's game Jordan and Anish Giri he goes for a a3 push here, but here Shankland has something prepared on his own. He goes for an f3 here and preparing to push his e pawn in the situation. So Karjakin want to challenge the center, so he goes for a c5 here, and he just start advancing the pawn. And this is all a standard theory. This is all Indian's best choice in this position. They knows that they have just prepared well with the engines. Here he goes for a b5 and challenging this pawn. Here he want to protect the pawn, so he goes e4 and protects with his bishop here. And he plays d6. And it just continues development and also eyeing at the a4 square in some cases here. He goes for a a6. Now he goes for an a4 move, and here he captured the c4 pawn, otherwise this a pawn will just capture and the pawn can't capture back because the rook will hang here. So he just captured here and our bishop captures back, and the knight comes here. The best move for white is to want to castle in this situation, so we have to consider taking our knight here or somewhere else in this position. He first captured the pawn here, and then after the pawn captures he goes for an bishop captures because he's getting an extra pawn. Extra pawn is not a match in this position because the position is around equal here. Here he goes for a knight to e5 and asking for a trade of bishops. Here he accepts the trade, because we need to accept that, because otherwise the knight will just jump onto d3 square and give them check. We can't able to defend here, because if we back our bishop then it will be given a tempo down for us, so that the knight can just give him this check. So he first captured the bishop here. After the queen captures, he moves his bishop here, controlling the d3 square and also preparing to capture the knight here. Now he goes for a c4. Here he just captures knight, and after the pawn captures. And now you see the position. White is actually a pawn up in the situation, and not that white is actually having a 2-pawn islands, that is this 4-pawn are connected and this 2-pawn are connected. Only 2 pawns there, but black is having a 4-pawn island. This is a lone pawn, this is also a lone pawn, this is also a lone pawn, and there is only this 4 islands, which is not at all good for black in the situation. The position is just becoming better for white here. Maybe in the end game white will have a superior advantage here. And here he want to castle here, so he goes for a knight to g3, and he knows that some pieces will attack the diagonal of this. It will just place some pieces and control the g1 square, which is a castle square for the king here. So you want to defend it with the knight to coming back to f2 here. And as per his idea, he goes for a bishop to c5, and as per the move 15, this is the new move of the game, and this move has been reached in 2 games, that is in every move the queen has just put on the d5 square, but here Karjakin just goes for a bishop to c5 and controlling the g1 square. So he puts his queen and attacks the c4 pawn. He goes for a rook to b8 and threatening the pawn on b2. If the queen captures here, the pawn will be dropped on b2, and it is too hard for white to defend if that happened here. So that can't be good, because our queen will be there and the rook on 7th rank, and this position and f2 square is well guarded. If the queen got some entry in the situation, it is too dangerous for white here. So he didn't capture the pawn in the situation. He want to goes for some safety. So he blocks the king's castle by the move knight to f2 here, and he just plays a bit mistakenly move, that is he goes for a queen to b7 and threatening the b2 pawn in the situation. Bit better move was to just go for something like knight to h5 and taking the knight inwards here, that is sorry about that, knight to h5, and after our blocking our f4 square you have to play something like that, and it is bit okay to play this position for black here, but this is a mistake. He goes for a queen to d7. This actually dropping this square, because when the queen is on the c8 square, this pawn is defended because we can't just capture here. Sorry about that. If we just made a move, we can't just capture because black will have this attack here. He will just capture the knight and give him this check, and after we capture he will just pick up the queen in this situation. This can't be good here, but he just moves the queen and wants to attack the b2 pawn. So Shankland Sam was just goes for a castle here, and I hope that up to this point Shankland was prepared this opening very well. As you see the time, it is 1:42, which was the original time given by the when they start the game here. Now only he started thinking and his time goes to 1:26 minutes. It may be a whole thing is a preparation by a Shankland Sam here. Now he just gives the b2 pawn here, but a bit better move was to just stay and protect the c4 pawn here, that is queen to b4 was bit better, which protects the c4 pawn here, because the queen entering the game was too dangerous for black in the situation. As you see, the black king was stuck in the center. If the other pieces joins in, that it will be too dangerous for black to survive in this position. Here I will show you what will happen here. We can also capture the pawn in this situation, that is a great move here, but he just want to just too scared of the queen coming to b2, and we can just continue the position with castles here, and after the capture we can't able to capture here because our own rook hangs here. This will be too dangerous for us, so we have to move our king here, and it is an advantage for white in this situation. We will just going to continue this position very well, because after that we have to ask for something trade here, because otherwise we are entering the c7 square and was controlling the putting so much pressure on the black king, because we just captured this pawn and also threatening our rook to enter the game. Just not at all good, but that this doesn't happen. He didn't want to capture the c4 pawn. He goes for some safety move, that is he goes for a castle. Now he captured the b2 pawn. He captures the c4 pawn. The position is advantage for white here. Though he gets the knight in the situation, we can't able to capture back because our rook hangs, so the king have to move. Now we can just enter the position in this way. We can even capture the bishop whenever we wanted in the position. Here he asked for a queen trade in the situation. The bit better move was to put the queen on b4 and asking for a trade, because after a queen coming to here, our king may be the queen may be useful in defending the position in this way, but here it is not that great put on queen to b3 here. But in the game he just goes for a queen to b3, and after that he goes for a queen to c7 and threatening the pawn on e5 here. And he also asked for a trade in this situation and also controlling the bishop on f2 here, and here he gives him this check, and the king goes to f7, an idea of taking another rook into the game. Here he asks for a trade of knights here, and also it attacks the queen here. Here he captures the knight, which is not a great move in the situation. It is good to play the rook to e8, counter attacking our queen, and after we can just capture the rook, and after the rook captures we can just capture the queen here, and after the bishop captures, it is playable, still playable, because white has a major advantage of 2 pawns in this situation, which is very good for white here. Maybe it is easy to play for white in the situation, but he just gives up the game by capturing the knight here, because it actually simplifies the position. The knight is the only piece was guarding the king in this situation. It actually captures, and after the queen captures, he just moves the king here, and he just give him another check, and the king comes to f7 here, and he plays the winning move in the situation. That is, he goes for a ra c1, that is rook to c1 in the situation, and after that there is no stopping the rook coming to c7 square. So he just resigned this game. Sergey Karjakin knows that the rook is coming and the mate will be threatened on the g7 square. It is very hard to stop here, because you can't simply attack the queen in the situation, because the rook will just jump into the c7 square and gives the check. Here there is no way to continue the position other than giving up the queen in the situation, because if the king ever moves, that is example g8, it will be a checkmate in 1. If it comes up to the board, it will be a checkmate in 2. It is so hard to defend this position. So in the position, after the took rook a c1, Sergey resigned the game, and Shankland won the game. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit the like button. Keep supporting this channel, and thank you for your support. This is Naveen Prabhu signing off.